So again, thank you, Bhante, for allowing me to be here. It's a privilege and an honor for me to be part of the Sangha, discover another branch of Mahabodhi. It's very wonderful to have this opportunity. Very early on my path, there's mainly three things that happened, three main events, I guess, that I could speak of that made me kind of where I am right now. And the first one was to discover meditation, Buddhist meditation by S.N. Goenka. And so I was in Canada, and this is how I actually learned that I wanted to basically meditate for my life. So basically I remember taking my first 10-day retreat and being so impressed at how my mind was, because it was a mess before that, and my mind was very scattered and all over the place, and I had no idea of the Buddha's teaching and any of the mental states and developing the mind. And when I did my first 10-day retreat, I was sitting for, I think it was day 6, and I was sitting on my bed and remember feeling happier than I ever had been before. And so I knew right there that that's what I wanted to do with my life. But I'm from Canada, and it's not easy to take that path where I'm from. There's not a lot of knowledge around what to do, how that works. There's not a lot of monasteries, and that's kind of partly why I'm so happy to see this here, because this is a very beautiful and thriving community of both ordained bhikkhus, samaneras, and upasakas and upasikas, the pillars of the sasana, and it's really beautiful to see, because where I'm from, we don't get to see it as much of this. So I think just remembering that is such a beautiful thing, that you're actually quite lucky to have this privilege, to have such a beautiful and strong Sangha community. And so that's my 2 cents here on this. But as time went by, I basically started meditating more, because the more I was meditating, the more that's what I wanted to do, because I felt like, wow, this is just an amazing technology. This meditation is actually a very powerful technology, probably the most powerful we have still today. And so, and I would actually say that it is. And so as I was starting to meditate a little bit more, let's say like a few more hours a day, and so for me, there came a few problems with my meditation, and so there was a certain place where I couldn't get past. So I felt like I was a little bit struggling or hitting a wall, let's say. And in that same time, I actually discovered the suttas, the Buddha Vachana, and so that was the next event in my life. The first was the 10-day retreats with Goenka. And the second one was to discover the suttas, the Pali canon, the Tripitaka. And the Buddha's words just really had a very big impact on me from the very beginning. And this is where my connection with the Mahabodhi Society, which I didn't realize at the time, but the first book I started reading was the Dhammapada. And it was Badabanteji Acharya Buddharakita Bante's translation. And I was actually addicted to the book. I was going to work, and just before work I would just read a few verses, and then it would just keep me going every day through work. And I thought the wisdom of the Buddha was so beautiful and so powerful, and it just gave me this energy to keep going. And slowly I discovered more. I was so impressed by the Buddha's words that I actually ordered the whole canon, the whole suttas. So I started reading the suttas a lot. And really that's where I really started to understand what the Buddha's teaching was in a more complete way. And later I because of my struggle with my own meditation, I tried many teachers. I tried many techniques. I tried many approaches. And then at some point I came upon my meditation teacher, who's Bhante Vimal Ramsey, and he's an American monk, although he spent 20 years in Asia. So he practiced in Burma, Thailand, Malaysia quite a bit, Sri Lanka, India. And his approach really unlocked the door to my meditation. Anyways, for me, it changed a lot of things. So through this, I decided to go and ordain at his place in America and receive Pabbaja. But again, because in America and in Canada we don't have big sanghas, so it's not easy to ordain, to receive Upasampada. So it was a long journey. Bhante said that basically I couldn't receive ordination where we were, because he was the only monk, basically. So, and it was a time in his career where he was he was getting older and not as capable of traveling as much and offering training. So I was told that I would have to find another place to receive Upasampada. And again, that's where I discovered the connection with Mahabodhi, and I actually learned that the Dhammapada was written by Acharya Buddharakkhita Bhanteji, and that he actually was the head of the Mahabodhi movement in India, which I didn't know. It only came later. I went to Canada as a lone forest monk by myself at that time. I was a samanera. And I was going for alms, for pindapat, and people would... in Canada. In the winter too. With all the snow. Sometimes, and I would live in the mountains, and my kuti, sometimes I would open the door, and I couldn't open it because it was full of snow, and there would be like this much snow, and I would have to walk an hour and a half to go down to the village, and so I was like soaked. And anyways, people that didn't really know at all, and still do not really. There's a little bit more knowledge now, but seeing me coming with my bowl, and people thought I was wearing a costume, basically, not knowing what Buddhist monks look like. And so that was kind of funny. I got a few funny interactions like this, yes. Well, actually, I was going to a lot of free food banks. So I ate with all the homeless people, and like it was, that's what I thought. I was like, well, I signed up to be a homeless monk, so there we go. And coming from a family where I never really lacked anything, or I never had, I was always really well fed, or it was never a problem, but it was really a shift in the samanya. We call it the samanya sanya, the samana sanya. Like the mind of someone who has gone forth. And so at that time I was really kind of I'd let go of everything. So we only take what is offered to us. So I'm
You're
long.
long walk. So
Yes.
it was prepared for me.
Oh, okay, okay, good. Very good. Sadhu. Yeah, and people thought I was bringing my bowl. People thought it was a drum. People thought it was like a. I was like, oh, you brought your drum. Where are you playing tonight? They thought I was playing something. So that was funny. And then I would go down the mountain for about an hour and a half. It was 6 or 7 kilometers, just to go to town. And then I would go to the main strip and just kind of do my duty and go for Pindapat. And I would get nothing, basically. And then and then I would go to like a Salvation Army or a free food bank, and then they would just give me any kind of food. Like I would eat like raw tofu or like anything. I would just like, great, I get to eat. And so yeah, it's funny because for me being here and being in India especially, I trained in Sri Lanka as well, but being in India and seeing all this beautiful faith, and I personally really love India. I love being here. Bharat ko me pyar karta hoon. I hope I said that right.
You said right.
Okay. Yeah, it just feels like for me this is really home for me, and especially as samana, as a bhikkhu. I feel like this is the motherland, and it really brings me a lot of joy to see what is happening with Mahabodhi society. And to make a long story short, at that point I got in touch through one of the person I met first on alms round, completely out of nowhere. It was a couple that is from Sri Lanka, and they managed to even find me in the mountain. I don't know how they did it, because I was quite far away. And they put me in contact with the Mahabodhi Society in Bangalore, and Bhante Buddhadatta in particular, and Ananda Bhante also. And at that time in my life, I wanted to actually come to India and receive Upasampada with Mahabodhi. And so that's what I was explaining the other day at lunch. That I came very close to actually come and receive Upasampada in Bangalore, in the Mahabodhi Society family. But then COVID happened, and then India was locked, and then I had to wait. And Sri Lanka opened up first, and then we just didn't know how long this was going to last, so I just decided to go to Sri Lanka. And then. But for a long time, for about a year and a half, I would attend to all the online events at the Mahabodhi Bangalore, and I did a course also. So I've always been very close to the Sangha, and so I guess now that I've said a little bit more about it, that's why I'm very grateful to be here. It's very special for me because I spent a year and a half from Canada online to watching all the programs and all this, and now I'm here with all of you, so that's really a blessing for me. And yeah, just that's one thing that I was thinking, if I ever come here, like what I'll want to say to you is, you're really lucky actually to all be here and to practice and have this amazing opportunity, because it's not everywhere. It's really not everywhere. And to have this strong Dhamma is actually really precious and very rare to encounter in the world. And so to rejoice in that is quite a beautiful gift. And I guess that's kind of a bit more like my story and how I'm connected to Mahabodhi. And but now on the other end is basically going back to my teacher, my meditation teacher, Bhante Vimalaramsi, who actually passed away not too long ago. His health was declining quite a bit, and a couple of months ago he passed, unfortunately. But now I spend most of my time either practicing or teaching what he taught me, basically, because he told me to go out and teach also. So this beautiful approach to meditation, Bhante used the Brahma Viharas quite a lot as main vehicle to begin with, especially. And so the reason why we start with feeling the love for ourselves first, and for to really kind of try anything to bring up the feeling, is because the feeling is very important. And if we don't feel it, then we can't actually do anything. So he would emphasize a lot to start with the beginning, start with a little bit, and really start to feel the feeling within us. And then once that gets going, you can actually go to maybe more like a spiritual friend and somebody you can share it with. And so it's quite easy, it's simple, because the mind, it wants to go into all of these things right away. It wants to do all these things, and mind comes up with so many things. So actually it's good for it to stay with one person and one friend, and then we can just send it to them. And then there's a whole progress where we teach the Brahma Viharas, the Metta, the Maitri, but also combined with right effort. So Bhante would teach something that he calls the 6 R's. And so that's what we do when the mind gets distracted, basically. And the 6 R's are basically only just right effort, and they are to recognize the mind is gone. The mind has wandered away. At that point, it's already happened. You'll be meditating, and then all of a sudden you're with your family somewhere, or like on a vacation, and then you remember, oh yes, I was meditating. And so that's the recognize step. And to recognize that there's always tension. Every time that there's a distraction in the mind flows, there's tension. There's a little bit of tension in the head. And the second R is to release the distraction, not feeding it our awareness. Because that's what we do. Everything we put our awareness upon, we feed it. And so if we want to stop feeding distractions, we just let it be. We don't try to push it or fight with it, just let it be there. Take away its power. And then the third one is to relax the tension in the body. This is actually becoming more and more popular, even in this scientific field, that there's a lot of somatic based therapies nowadays that are actually grounded upon this understanding that we need to go through the body to actually open the mind, to let go. Because we store all of our emotional baggage in our body. That's the same thing in traditional Chinese medicine, and there's some things in Ayurveda also where we lock our emotional states in our body. And to bring back our awareness into our bodies, to feel the tension when it arises and to let that go, is actually also letting it go in the mind. And so that's very powerful. And I believe that's why the Buddha puts so much emphasis on awareness of the body, to be aware of that. Because when awareness is relaxed, it is open and it is just steady. And so this happens on its own. And then he would teach to re-smile after this. So recognize, release, relax, and re-smile. Because we need to lighten up the mind. The Buddha, when he was teaching, for example, he would always start with a talk on generosity, virtue, the devas, to uplift people's mind. We can see that in the Vinaya, mostly, the Vinaya Pitaka. And then when people's minds were uplifted, he would teach the Four Noble Truths. That's how he would usually teach. And so this piti bojjhanga, this joy, this awakening factor of joy is very important. And so we just sharpen the mind and re-smile and come back to loving kindness with a mind that is open, that is relaxed, that is present. And it is effortless, basically. And then the sixth R is to repeat. To do this whole process, but only when the mind is distracted. So as long as we are with the loving kindness, then no problem. And then of course there would be further stages where we do, sending it to directions and all this that is more classical understanding. And there's a deepening of experience, but I promised that I would maybe elaborate a little bit more on my teacher's teachings at lunch last time. So that's what I did now. And I would like to invite you, you're all invited to any of the retreats that I will be hosting, if that is something that is of interest. There is a retreat in Bangalore at the Mahabodhi Meditation Center coming up in February, at the end of February. In January in Sri Lanka. But anyhow, we are in the process of building a monastery in, right now I live in Kalimpong, which is West Bengal, close to Darjeeling. And so whenever the center is ready, we can, you're all invited to come. We'll see how long that takes, but yeah. And so I hope this is useful information to you, and you can use that actually in anything you do in life. So basically, the Buddha's teaching is about bhavana, wholesome mental development, developing good qualities of the heart all the time. And when you come to the temple, maybe you serve, you listen to the Dhamma, you uplift your mind with the Dhamma. When you serve the Bhikkhu Sangha or the Sangha in general, you're developing these qualities that actually bring the mind to samadhi, that bring the mind to collectedness, and it becomes very easy to meditate. And for me, the sequence that I put the most emphasis on is this beautiful sequence in the suttas that is found in many suttas, but the first time we see it is in the Samanyapala Sutta. It's when we abandon the hindrances, when we let go of the nivaranas. There's a tasime panche nivarane pahine attani samanupassato. When one realizes that the hindrances have been let go of inside, pamojang jayati. There's gladness, there's relief that comes up. Because the hindrances, they're like cluttering our mind, they're heavying down our mind. And that's why we need to open up and uplift. Pamuditassa piti jayati. And from that relief, from that gladness, there comes piti, there comes that joy, that upliftment of the mind. Piti manassa kayo pasambati. And so from that joyful mind, the body calms down. It's actually easy to let go when we're uplifted, when we're calm and joyful. Pasadda kayo sukhang vadiyati. When the body is calm, then there's ease, there's happiness. It's all smooth. And then the last line is my favorite, sukhino chittang samadhiyati. And the happy mind, the mind that is at ease, easily becomes collected, gets into samadhi. And this beautiful sequence is actually found throughout the suttas quite a lot. This is the 7 Sambhojangas for those of you who know this, and it's how they actually come together. I mean, there's more than one way, but that is one of the ways. And so when we remember that over and over again, I was remembering this sutta where the 7 Sambhojangas are just being recited when somebody is sick, and they just become better on the spot. It's a very powerful tool just to remember this. Remember to let go, not take your mind too seriously, uplift your mind, smile, feel the love in your heart, and relax the body tension, let go. And then you'll see your mind will become calm, it will become collected. And that is happiness here and now. Or freedom or liberation. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Dire, dire. So I think this is about what I wanted to say tonight. And thank you again, Bhanteji. Yes. And thank you everybody for being here and listening to me. It's been a pleasure, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Bhante, for your Dhamma talk and also about yourself, your journey to Dhamma from Canada to India. So thank you so much for coming here and having this very good, very pleasant evening, and especially your focus on the metta, the loving kindness, which I think we need more and more in today's time, I feel. Thank you. Okay, so I hope all of you have had good evening today with Bhante. And I said twice, now I will say for the third time, that all of you have practiced renunciation, giving up of World Cup match. So I appreciate that, but you see, the match between Australia and India is happening in India. But guess what? Bhante came from Australia 2 days ago, just from Australia to Hyderabad, and Bhante is playing the match of Dhamma in India. Okay, so we have World Cup happening in India, coming from Australia. Okay, so it's a good time, to have Bhante. And you see, Bhante, as Bhante mentioned, February in Bangalore, our Mahabodhi headquarters, we have a meditation center in Bangalore. We have actually 4 centers in Bangalore itself. The first one, the headquarters, started in 1956 by our Guruji, and our Guruji has a similar story like Bhante, because he is also not from a Buddhist background. He was born in a Brahmin family, a Hindu family, and like you, he also tried many practices. And like you, he stumbled upon Dhammapada, and then that's how he sort of went to Sri Lanka. Like you, he went to Sri Lanka. And he came back to India to start a center. Now you also in Sri Lanka, starting a center in Kalimpong in West Bengal. You see one thing. So I hope all the best for your center. And Bhante teaches throughout the year, meditation in different places. His guru is in Sri Lanka, but he travels all over the world. But now he wants to travel less and be more stationed in West Bengal, because it's very tiresome to always travel and not to meditate for himself. So that's what he is trying to do. So maybe our Ashish Barua is there. He is from Bengal, but he is Hyderabad, but Bengal primarily from there. He has a lot of contact there. But you can get in touch with Bhante, and some support you can do to Bhante. It's a Barua Buddhist. Okay, so yeah, that much. And as Bhante mentioned, that it's all about relaxing yourself. Meditation is samatha, as Bhante mentioned. Samatha is this releasing the tension. You mentioned, Bhante, 6 R. First one is Bhante, recognizing your mind, how it is, then releasing that whatever tension, then relaxing it, tension, yes, Bhante, then re-smile. Okay, smile back. Because your smile is gone when you are in tension, right? So you have to bring it back. And then when return to loving kindness, the base. Yes. Because loving kindness is also one form of meditation, So it's not just the breath, we think the breath only, but loving kindness is also one of the meditation technique, And Bhante's guru, the first guru, Vimala Ramsi, he emphasizes more on metta, you see. So metta is very powerful meditation, you see. So Bhante today, I think, kind of also taught how to do metta, I guess, in the meditation. He sort of gave a basic idea about metta meditation. So, as Bhante mentioned about nivarana as well, the 5 hindrances, So these 5 hindrances is something that we need to release from our mind and body. Because some of these hindrances, they trouble us, they give lot of trouble, and they just makes our life more and more difficult. It makes our life hell, you see. We generally say, oh, this person has made my life hell, that person has made my life hell. But it is that hindrances which arises in our own heart when we are in contact with the external forms or external reasons, you see. But you may say the external reason, which of course you might try your level best to have a good external sort of environment, you try to be in a good environment in the best possible way, and good people around. But then, there is so much we can do to have a good environment. It is not possible for us to have the whole environment as per our need. It's just impossible. But then the source of everything, the source of your happiness and misery, is sitting right in your heart, you see. So somewhat you can just do that. It's like saying, there's this analogy that I like very much, which says that suppose on the earth there is a lot of thorn, lot of different stones or sharp thing all over the place, and there is somebody who is cursing the earth. Why there is so much thorn? I can't walk. It's so difficult for me to walk around. It's so painful. So what's the solution? Just get a slipper. Just get a shoe. Just get a shoe, and then you will not be hurt by the thorns, the sharp thing. So it's like putting on the slipper. So it's very important for us to mentally have that slipper, which is your metta or your calmness, your serenity. It's something that we need to develop within our heart. So when you do that, then it's much easier for you to just go around, and it's also easier for you to also face certain difficulties that life throws on us. You see, we do our best, as I mentioned just now, that we to create a good atmosphere, to have good company, to have good environment, but then we also at the same time prepare ourselves to be strong enough, to be resilient enough to face the challenges that comes to us. And those challenges is something that we can use, to sort of strengthen ourselves even much more further, you see. So meditation is a very strong tool, as Bhante mentioned, technology. It's a very good technology, you see. So it is something that we need to do. We need to always regularly practice, and sometimes go for a retreat. Bhante mentioned February end, you can try to attend that. And so sometimes you have to go, you see, because sometimes our mind is too difficult, you see. We somehow cannot easily manage. So in that kind of situation, when you feel that it is out of your control, it is way too much far from your control, then it's good to just go for a retreat where you just disconnect yourself, and it's like it's kind of you see, it's a holiday. You see, it's a beautiful holiday. You see, the meditation retreat is actually the holiday, right? Because when you go on a holiday, you still have so many things to do. You have to worry about your transport, your hotel, the right picture for Instagram, you see. So it's very tiresome, you see, and the comment that you might get, you don't know. So when you go for a retreat, it's a big holiday.